Thank you, and welcome to the 2024 Sentinel Awards. I wish you could see what I see, because you look really great. So thank you for dressing up. It's been my privilege to direct the Norman Lear Center for 25 years. If I could compress our 25 years of work into 2 words, it would be these: stories matter. Stories have power. They mirror and model. They show us who we are and tell us who to be. They can bridge cultural differences, or they can magnify them. They can illuminate, or they can gaslight. Storytellers, you have that power. The question is, what will you do with your power? Your best responses to that question are what we honor tonight with the Sentinel Awards. Last year, when we set the date for the 2023 awards, no one knew it would fall on the day after Norman's passing. When that day dawned, we didn't know if the awards could happen or should happen that night. But they did, because of the message that Lynn Lear sent us, which I read from this podium. Norman would not have wanted us to mourn, she wrote. He would want us to celebrate the important shows you're honoring tonight. And most of all, he would want us to laugh. I have to admit, I was something of a basket case that night. But boy, did we ever celebrate and laugh, and that's what we'll do tonight. Down through the Lear Center's 25 years, Norman and Lynn were huge supporters of our work and our Hollywood Health and Society program, and these Sentinel Awards, which, as seen in these photos, they came to as often as they could. It's been nearly a year since we lost Norman. For Lynn, it's been a year of resilience and renewal. She hasn't spoken in public during that year, but we were thrilled when she accepted our invitation to join us tonight. So it's my great pleasure to ask you to welcome to the Sentinel Awards the Emmy-nominated filmmaker, celebrated environmentalist, political activist, and dear friend, Lynn Davis Lear.
Thank you. This is very emotional to be here tonight. I love seeing all of you. And Marty, thank you for your kind words. On behalf of the Lear family, and especially me, thank you for all your support throughout the year. I also want to thank our dear friend Jimmy Kimmel for his heartfelt message. Norman was thrilled to share his classic shows with new audiences, and Jimmy and Brent Miller made that possible.
Hi, everyone. This is going to be a great night, and I want to congratulate all the Sentinel honorees. I'm Jimmy Kimmel. I have to say, in my life, I've met presidents, vice presidents, movie stars, sports legends, the biggest celebrities in show business, and even regular business, but only one giant, Norman Lear. Every one of us who's lucky enough to work in TV wants to make people laugh, hopefully make them think, and make the world a more welcoming place. Norman did all that, and in the process, he revolutionized television. Norman proved that comedy could be serious, too. He showed us you could laugh at subjects that might otherwise make you cry or angry or uncomfortable. He never talked down to his audience or treated them like they were stupid, even though I was definitely pretty stupid. You know, growing up, I was a huge fan of Norman's shows. I still am. In 2019, I had the magical experience of redoing some of his legendary shows from the 70s and 80s live on ABC with a group of actors who love Norman as much as I do. We didn't rewrite one word of his shows. The characters felt real. The dialogue was honest and funny, and the issues in each storyline were kind of sadly as relevant today as they were when Nixon was the only criminal who lived in the White House. Tonight's show is presented by Hollywood Health and Society, which is a program of USC's Norman Lear Center that exists to help TV and screenwriters keep scripts accurate when they're writing about issues that matter. In this way, his work goes on. Norman lived 101 years, and somehow he still died too young. And if he were here tonight, I thank him again for the countless ways he made television better and how he personally enriched my life and helped to form my brain. And to Norman's wife, my friend Lynn, I know how difficult it must be to go on without him. But as you know, Norman never said goodbye. He would only say, to be continued and over and next. Lynn, we are so fortunate Norman left his legacy and his hat in your loving hands. So I say, to be continued. And to you, I say thank you for coming and enjoy the show.
Such a funny man and such a dear friend. They really loved one another. After Norman's death, amid obviously deep sadness, it struck me that other than my husband, the brilliant producer that he was, who other than my husband would orchestrate his departure at a moment when this room would be filled with like-minded creatives that he cared about and loved. The press, who had been in place for months, was able to shine a light on our causes and foundation along with his remarkable life. And although I was not in attendance, many who were told me that being able to process his loss in a group setting was very comforting. As Jimmy reminded us, Norman wasn't big on goodbyes. He looked to the future. And these last months have been filled with family and projects that he loved and supported. I've decided to write a memoir about our life together. Thank you. Norman always wanted to write a small book about his philosophy of life, and we were connected very closely 40 years ago now, on a very deep spiritual level. And so, I just wanted to put that and a little bit of our lives and love together into a book. And there were a lot of Normanisms that he left us. One of his favorite quotes was "over next," as Jimmy said. So when it's over, and then you've got to go on to next. But if there was a little hammock in the middle, that would be living in the moment. Some of his other Normanisms were never lend your comb. It's hard to be a human being. And it was hard for Norman as it is for all of us. When you make a bagel, always put the onions under the salmon so they don't fall out. So these are great little meaningful messages to live by. We explored many ideas over almost 40 years, and I would love to share them. I feel Norman is up there pulling strings in my life. I have 2 films out now. One, James Carville winning Is Everything Stupid, which I hope you all can see. There's an EP on that with Matt Turnauer. And The BB Files with Alex Gibney and Alexis Bloom. It's an amazing film that, of course, a lot of this, streamers were, I think, a little frightened to show. So we're starting a new platform called Jolt that you can download, and you'll be able to watch the BB Files on this new platform in December. You can download it from the App Store. Most important are all the family changes that have been happening. I mean, life goes on, right? Our daughter Madeline was married 3 weeks after Norman passed. And then our son Ben got married last April. And Maddie just had a little baby boy last weekend. And thanks, I know, Dominic, Romeo. And then Ben and his wife Lily are due with another boy in March. And on the heels of that, our daughter Brianna is getting married at our place in Vermont called The Gully next September. So, and I've got a lot of variety of projects coming up on climate change, one on Burning Man, UFOs, the supernatural near-death experiences and disinformation in the fossil fuel industry, and one I'm excited about on malignant narcissism, which is very current today, as we all know. And of course, Hollywood Health and Society have helped me with most of these films, and I treasure that they exist. They're such a brilliant resource. They've helped me and so many people on so many different projects. And I love everything about HHS and the Norman Lear Center and what they stand for, especially the Sentinel Awards. So I look forward to hearing from all of you tonight, and I can't wait to see the great work you're going to be doing in the years to come. Norman, thank you for creating this wonderful organization. We all miss you, and we love you. And to be continued. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Lynn. I have a great privilege at the Norman Lear Center to work with an amazing group of colleagues. And among them is the person I'm about to introduce, the director of Hollywood Health and Society. I could not imagine a better partner and colleague. She's everything you could want in an amazing role, which she does a brilliant job in. Please join me in welcoming someone you know, and I think all of you love if you know her, Kate Fobe.
Thank you, Marty and Lynn. And okay, I told some of the people here tonight that, you know, at this event every year we laugh, we cry. We've already started crying. So anyway, good evening, everyone, and welcome. I want to thank tonight's sponsors, our funding partners, and to the Hollywood Reporter for their continued support of the Sentinel Awards. Also, I have to give a huge shout out to all the Hollywood Health and Society and Lear Center staff and volunteers who have worked literally tirelessly to bring this event together. You are all so appreciated. Let's give them an applause. And as Marty said, stories matter. And right here in this room are some of the most talented storytellers in the world. Look at the person next to you. They're probably a really special storyteller. And I'm always amazed at the beauty, the nuance, the humor, and the poignancy you all are so capable of weaving into a show. I always think I have a good idea. And when I see what you guys do, I realize why I'm not a writer. But getting the facts straight can be tough for all of you, I think, and especially in the current landscape of deep fakes and disinformation, and that's what Hollywood Health and Society is here for. We can connect you to surgeons, scientists, advocates, and people with lived experience on topics from narcolepsy to nanotechnology, from climate change to colon cancer. See what I did there? You got a question, we'll get you the right answer. So, and it's all free. That's the good part. So it's all pro bono. We don't ask for a credit. We don't ask for a fee. We're here to do this in service to you. We have over 1,000 experts in our database that are willing to consult with you and your show, some of whom help determine the winners, and some are in the room tonight. So you can, if you meet one, you can go and thank them. And just so you know we're legit, we have 3 rounds of judgings for the Sentinel Awards. So first of all, the submissions come in and we review them for their eligibility. Second round, they are scored on accuracy by the experts in the respective field. And third, they're judged for entertainment and production value and impact to the audience by entertainment industry professionals. And when Norman was with us, there was one year where his show, One Day at a Time, didn't win. And I remember him standing up there and saying, now you know we're really legit, because my show didn't even win. So later they did win, though. But anyway, so so we're legit. We do this, we do this the right way. And note, a show doesn't have to have worked with us to submit for the awards or to be honored. Again, that's why we're legit. And some shows get honored, and they never worked with us. And some of them, when they get up here, they say, wow, I didn't know about you guys, and now I'm so glad I do, and now I'm going to use you. And that's happened more than once. So this is a PR event for us as well. So congratulations to all the winners tonight. Very much congratulations. We love all of your shows. And just one last plug, if anybody's looking for new topics for your storylines, we've got them. How about sleep disorders? They're not what you think they are. Smoking and vaping, believe it or not, is on the rise. Abortion and reproductive justice, well, need I say more? The future of medicine and how AI is changing things rapidly. Caregiving, which touches everyone. Climate change, please. Yes, let's give that one an applause. And structural racism, which infects everything in our lives, our healthcare systems, our education, our banking, real estate, and more. So these are just a few of the topics that we can help with. So please think of us when you're researching your next storyline, or even if you just need a new idea, call us, because we've got them. And you don't have to use my storyline pitch, because I know it'll suck. But the topic would be good. So our services are free, like I said. We're here to help. Please call us. Or, as my colleague likes to say, contact us, and we'll get you an appointment with the doctor. Now, on with the show.
Coming to the stage is an actress and writer who has worked with directors ranging from Woody Allen to Guillermo del Toro. She is also a comedy legend as one of the original cast members of Saturday Night Live. Please welcome tonight's host, Lorraine Newman.
Oh my God. Oh, there it is. Thank you very much. I have to stand on an apple box. Stand up. I am standing up. Good evening, and thank you, Marty, Lynn, Jimmy, and Kate, and welcome, Sentinel honorees. I'm thrilled to be here recognizing television writing that combines great storytelling with relevant social issues. Tonight, we've got it all: economic disparities, addiction, smoking, mental health. Takes me back to the SNL writing room. Yes, I'm one of the OGs, one of the original cast members of Saturday Night Live. It is hard to believe it's been almost 50 years since we first went live from 30 Rock. And I had no idea what to expect, but Lauren said, it'll only be for 13 weeks with a 5-year option. And I remember thinking, like, that'll ever happen. Okay, well, people constantly ask me what that first season was like, so let me set the scene. 1975, the nation was reeling from a president who'd committed felonies while in office. Women, people of color, and what was then called the gay community were demanding long overdue equal rights. Scientists announced the Earth would be affected by changes in climate that had the potential to cause catastrophic damage to the planet. And nobody believed it. All right, I'll be okay. I'm fine. Oh, and one other thing, 50 years ago, 6 of TV's top 10 series were brought to us by Norman Lear. All in the Family, Sanford and Son, Chico and the Man, The Jeffersons, Good Times, and Maude. Norman was the Beatles of television. He was also the first TV executive to host an episode of Saturday Night Live. Oh, he was more than ready for prime time. He was prime time. And he turned out to be a great sketch player. So you can imagine how the cast felt about working with this one-of-a-kind living legend. We hated him. You can't let us have this one thing. You have to be great at that, too.
All right, I exaggerate. We were thrilled when he hosted, and I personally love it when we had people on the show who weren't actors, so the pressure was off and they could really shine. Norman was one of those who really did. One of our sketches featured Norman hearing a pitch for a new radical sitcom with a twist. Belushi was the union organizing dad. Jane Curtin, the mom, was the corporate boss he was striking against. And I played the daughter who was a nun. And Dan Aykroyd was my brother, a gay state trooper. And we practiced the tried and true Pentecostal ritual of snake handling. Just a typical 1970s family. Oh, and the title was the Snake Handling O'Sheas. And we had all the 70s tropes of sitcoms, you know, like all entrances got huge applause before anybody said anything. And we had a great 70s theme song sung by Paul Schaefer. I won't sing it, you're welcome, but here are some of the lyrics. Pop is a hard hat, Mom's an exec, Sis is a nun, and Junior is gay. No attempt at rhyming. But it was a really special episode, and what a gift to work with Norman. And he liked that we were trying something new, and hey, SNL brought a lot of things to TV that hadn't been done before. Dope smoking, nerds, bees. Pete is still pissed at us about those bees. Now, on to the shows that so brilliantly reflect today's challenging world. And just one reminder to tonight's honorees, we're all here to celebrate you. And even though the show isn't televised, we're still on a schedule. We all want to get home, get in our jammies, get on the couch, grab the remote, and watch Law & Order. So, if your thank yous go too long, we're going to crank this. Oh, God, Quincy Jones. So let's get started. The late Supreme Court Justice Louis Brandeis had a famous quote about the gifts that come with being transparent. He said, sunlight is the best disinfectant. This certainly applies to subjects that typically carry a stigma, like mental health challenges. Our next honoree, the Prime Video series Gen V, pours sunlight on stigmas with the question, what if your mental health issue was actually your superpower? Here to tell us more from head of the class, the Goldbergs, and our beloved One Day at a Time, please welcome Isabella Gomez.
Hello. It is so nice to be here at the Sentinel Awards in a room full of my Norman Lear family. Tonight, the series Gen V is being honored for their storylines dealing with mental health. As an actress who first started working at age around 5, I can tell you that early on in my career, and still, the feelings of anxiety, inadequacy, and fear were more common than the moments of joy or triumph or excitement. Fortunately, therapy exists. I've learned life is so much more doable when I address both my mental and physical well-being. The title of the show, Gen V, refers to the group of young adults whose world is shaped by what they see on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and other mediums. The V stands for visual, and in 2024, our brains are so affected by screens. In fact, 1 in 5 teens say Instagram makes them feel worse about themselves. And especially, 32% of teen girls said that when they felt bad about their bodies, Instagram made them feel worse. Set at the fictional campus Godolphin University, Gen V revolves around imperfect superheroes learning to navigate college life. In this episode, #ThinkBrink, several of the Supes are visited by their parents. The character Emma, also known as Little Cricket, is managing an ongoing eating disorder. Her superpower involves the ability to grow big, as well as the ability to transform into being small. In the scene we're about to see, Emma, played by Lizzie Broadway, is having lunch with her mom, Tiffany, played by actress Raisa Kondraki. Later that evening, when a producer joins them to talk about a potential reality series starring Emma, we see the roots of her eating disorder. Let's take a look. We are so honored to present the 2024 Sentinel Award to Gen V for the episode #ThinkBrink. To accept, please welcome series co-showrunner Michelle Fazekas.
Thank you so much to the Sentinel Awards and to the Norman Lear Center. So Gen V is a spinoff of The Boys. And at first glance, you wouldn't think a show about superheroes in college pays a ton of attention to serious issues like mental health. Our characters spend a good amount of time having athletic sex and doing all the drugs. It's a show where out of the gate, we had to build a 6-foot-tall, anatomically correct penis. But it's also a show about young people coming of age and struggling with gender identity and social media saturation, self-harm, sexual assault, eating disorders. And all of these struggles are connected to their superpower. So we have the characters you saw who can grow and shrink, but has to binge and purge to do so. So from its conception, Gen V was always about mental health. That's how we kind of had hoped to differentiate ourselves from all the other superhero content out there. So to be recognized for that, not just for gigantic props of genitals, is like really meaningful, truly. Our partners, I have to say, at Sony and Amazon have been hugely supportive in providing us funds and access to experts who make sure that we're accurate and mindful every step of the way. And I cannot understate the importance of that support. And it's a somewhat new trend with the studios that I hope continues. Our Gen V cast couldn't be here tonight. They're up in Toronto finishing up our second season. But I know they share the same desire to portray their characters' struggles honestly, and we are so, all of us, grateful for this award. So thank you. Thank you.
I got to follow along in the script. Last year's Sentinel Awards were postponed to December because so much of 2023 was all about us lacing up our hokas and meeting on the picket line. The topic of labor unions and income equality have been debated far and wide, but perhaps nowhere more effectively than on last season's episode of The Simpsons, entitled Night of the Living Wage. I love working in animation, and it's ironic how often some of the most three-dimensional characters on television are actually two-dimensional cartoons. And that's thanks to great writing and terrific voice actors. Our next presenter is one of the very best. In addition to her work on screen and off-Broadway for 35 seasons, she's been the voice of reason in America's favorite family. Please welcome the Emmy-winning voice of Lisa Simpson, Yardley Smith.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really thrilled to be here. Thank you, Lorraine. Where are you? You're a genius and a legend. So in the episode, Night of the Living Wage, Lisa's cat, Snowball 2, attacks an emotional support chicken who's rushed to the ER at Tweeter's Sinai Hospital. The chicken's wounds lead to an astronomical medical bill that the Simpsons can't possibly pay, of course. So when Homer realizes that his upper, lower, middle, lower class income can't possibly cover such an expense, Marge decides to get a job. She finds work with a startup food delivery app that seriously abuses and underpays its workers. When Marge learns the humble startup is actually the creation of a billionaire who is too busy doing ayahuasca with Jeff Bezos in outer space, too busy to pay his employees fairly, she decides to form a union. I have to say, after 35 seasons on The Simpsons, I am still constantly impressed at how our writers weave together so many subplots and visual gags and jokes into just 21 minutes. But this episode also found ways to make serious points about income inequality, the dehumanization of the workforce, the hypocrisy of anti-union propaganda, the ability of one unexpected disaster to instantly destroy an average family, and worst of all, the rise of an emotional support bougie chicken. Let's take a look. It's the best job in the world. We are so honored, I am so honored to present the 2024 Sentinel Honor to The Simpsons for the episode Night of the Living Wage. The episode was written by Cesar Mazariegos, who can't be here tonight. So to accept his award, please welcome our co-executive producer, writer extraordinaire, Rob Lezebnik.
Hi, good evening. I'm a writer-producer on The Simpsons for many, many years who worked closely with Cesar on this episode. And I'm very sorry Cesar couldn't be here. His father passed away earlier this week. He would have loved to be here. But he asked if I would deliver the speech that he wrote. It's in the first person, so as I read it, please imagine that, that I'm Cesar, a much cooler and younger writer. You all brought props, right? I assume it. So this is Cesar's speech. Many thanks to USC, Annenberg Norman Lear Center, and Hollywood Health and Society for this award. 30 years ago, I, Cesar, applied to USC's film school, but didn't get in, so this is a great first step in our healing journey. I was Bart's age when I started watching The Simpsons, and now I'm older and balder than Homer, which is humbling. But the fact that after 35 years, the show still has something vital to say about labor, politics, AI, book bans, body image, cops, etc., is all thanks to Jim Brooks, Matt Grading, and the late Sam Simon, who baked that heart, humanity, and defiance into the show's DNA. And to our current staff of brilliant writers, actors, and production staff who all work to keep that spirit alive to this day. This episode was about the right to fight for a fair wage, so I'd be remiss if I didn't mention our incredibly talented Animation Guild workers who are currently fighting for a fair deal for themselves. As a WGA member and captain, I know they stood by us, and we will always stand by them. I also want to thank my boo, Manisha. That, I remind you, would be Cesar's boo. Who's been a social worker, community organizer, and currently works to fund workers' rights organizations. I knew that if she liked this script, I'd done something right, or she'd gotten really good at sparing my feelings, which either way is pretty great. And lastly, I want to thank my folks. My dad was a bus-driving teamster. My mom cleaned houses for a living. It's because of them and their support and love that I have the privilege to do this. Thank you so much, and thanks for Cesar.
Hey everyone, how you feeling? It's Jason George.
And Todd Grinnell. What exactly is systemic racism anyway?
Systemic racism is the idea that some of our country's policies and practices were set up to benefit certain groups and harm others. But a lot of people might assume that kind of racism is a relic of our past.
I mean, how can the system be rigged like that when we've got Beyonce?
Who doesn't love Beyonce?
I love Beyonce.
It's Beyonce, Queen Bee. It's the 2020s. We've had black folks reach the highest levels of power in Washington. Celebrated black athletes and entertainers are everywhere you look. Look, we have black billionaires. I mean, how could that level of black excellence exist if racism is still baked into our laws and institutions?
Well, why don't we take a few minutes with no blame and no shame to have a deeper conversation about it? Because when there's a system in place designed to bring some of us down, it's actually really bad for all of us. So, Is systemic racism still a thing?
This is your new buddy cop movie coming to a TV near you. Good evening. He is the award-winning actor, producer, director, known for his work on Amazon's With Love and as Schneider on the recent reimagining of Norman Lear's One Day at a Time. Todd Grinnell, ladies and gentlemen.
And he is the Emmy-nominated actor, producer, director known for his work on Station 19 and several thousand episodes of Grey's Anatomy, Jason George.
He's a daytime Emmy. It's not that daytime Emmy. It's okay.
And together we recently worked with Hollywood Health and Society on that video you just saw a taste of.
Yeah, we've all heard the argument from certain politicians and political pundits on the far right who insist racism is dead. It's over. And their proof? Barack Obama, Oprah, Hakeem Jeffries, Beyonce, and the most powerful woman of color at the moment in this time.
Shonda Rhimes.
I was gonna say Kamala Harris, but that works too, though.
Yes.
The good news is things have gotten better in many areas for people of color.
The bad news is there are powerful people who are trying to turn back the clock to the 50s. And by that I mean the 1750s.
All the way back. Systemic racism is so deeply ingrained in society that most people don't even realize it. And far too many people don't even want to talk about it.
We're so grateful to Hollywood Health and Society for letting us be a part of this long overdue discussion through the video, Is Systemic Racism Still a Thing?
So look for the HHS poster that's out in the lobby. It's got a QR code which lets you download the whole thing. It's much longer than that. It's not long, but it's longer than that. Grab the code before you go, check it out, but most importantly, share it.
Our next two Sentinel honorees each tackled different aspects of this topic in two groundbreaking series. The first, Apple TV Plus's The Big Cigar, the story of an unusual alliance between Black Panther Huey P. Newton and the 1960s producer-director Bert Schneider, the man who gave us Easy Rider, 5 Easy Pieces, and The Monkees.
Now, to tell us more, please welcome an actor-producer known for such projects as Sneakerheads and The Big Cigar, in which he played comedy legend Richard Pryor. Please welcome Eni Clemens. Takes a lot of guts to do Richard, I'm just saying. Yeah.
All right. Richard Pryor once said, "I was just on the Today Show and they were telling me how wonderful I was. I walked out into the reality of America and I can't get a cab." Pryor's genius is encapsulated in that one line, a perfect depiction of systemic racism. It's so typical that it goes unnoticed, except by the people such behavior demeans. It was that mindset that in 1966 inspired Huey P. Newton and Bobby Seale to create the Black Panthers in Oakland, California. Their goal was simple: to help people of color fight the discrimination they face daily in housing, the job market, education, in life. That simple action was so threatening to the US government that they branded them domestic terrorists and put Huey's life in the crosshairs of a vengeful FBI. Please take a look. Such a beautiful project to be a part of. We're honored to present the 2024 Sentinel Award to The Big Cigar episode entitled Panther Producer. To accept, please welcome showrunner Janine Sherman Barwa and executive producer writer Jim Hecht.
I'd like to thank the Sentinel Awards for this incredible honor. We extend our deepest gratitude to Warner Brothers Television, Apple TV Plus, and our remarkable cast, crew, writers, and directors for supporting us in bringing The Big Cigar to life. Telling the story of Black Panther Party, the systemic racism they faced, and how they fought against it, while weaving in a high-stakes caper to smuggle Huey P. Newton out of the country was literally no small task. As a showrunner, I've been involved in this project for 6 years. Jim, the creator, has been championing it for, I think, 2 decades. It was actually his thesis project at USC in the 90s. We knew we had to approach this story with cultural rigor. Our goal was to demystify the Panthers, who are too often portrayed as criminals or terrorists. We really wanted to dig deep into the why, investigate the reasons, and understand and highlight the pervasive systemic racism of the era, and show that the Panthers were, at their core, heroic young Black people literally trying to make a difference.
In Huey P. Newton, we wanted to present a nuanced portrait of a revolutionary in crisis at a crossroads where all of the choices and missteps collided. The Panthers originally made headlines standing up to police violence, like you saw, carrying guns to police the police and protect the community. Now, when young Black men started carrying a gun, Republicans suddenly got very interested in gun control and actually started the modern gun control movement, along with Governor Reagan and the NRA, to ban open carry in order to stop the Panthers. They provided food, healthcare, housing, and education to dismantle systemic racism, and that made them the target of Richard Nixon and J. Edgar Hoover. It was because of their breakfast program, making sure that kids didn't go to school on empty stomachs, that the FBI labeled them the greatest threat to the nation's security at the height of the Vietnam War. Hollywood took notice, and that's how revolutionary producer Bert Schneider got involved with Huey P. Newton. Now, our goal with that part of the story was not to pat ourselves or Hollywood on the back and tell the world how rad we are. It was simply to remind ourselves that there was a time when people in Hollywood risked their lives and their freedoms and their careers to fight for a cause. Janine and I can't take credit from the stuff that happened in the 70s. You can't stay clean on yesterday's shower.
Our hope is literally when the show ends, you feel inspired by the work that Huey P. Newton and the Black Panther Party did, and you look within your own lives and see how you can dismantle systemic racism. Revolution does not happen unless we all participate.
Look, I think as a lot of you know, trying to make anything good is really, really hard. Making something that you consider important, also deals with racism, is a recipe for a lot of sleepless nights. So I really want to thank my wife, Courtney, Janine's husband, Lyndon, for living through this with us. And I want to thank all of you because recognition that after going through all that and everything that we did to make this over 25 years, that what we did was seen and appreciated by you. That just, it really means a lot to us. So thank you. Thank Kate. Thanks my new therapist, Lynn. And thank you to USC and the Annenberg Lear Foundation. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Thanks.
That's going to be my new t-shirt. Can't stay clean off of yesterday's shower. It is safe to say that most of us went to school without learning anything about our history of racism against indigenous Native Americans. The vast majority of that history was shown to us through the lens of, anybody? Hollywood Westerns. AMC's dark drama, Dark Winds, follows a team of Navajo tribal police in the 1970s.
Last season, the series took a shocking and long overdue look at a U.S. government policy designed to decimate the Native population in a truly insidious manner. The U.S. government carried out the systemic sterilization of Native women. This was not done in consultation with any of the women in question. It was a mandate based on a concept called race betterment. The government had full power to control a woman's body. This was not in any way pro-life. The intention was to eliminate the possibility of Native babies being born.
In the 1970s, doctors sterilized somewhere between 25 and 42% of Native women and girls. Yeah, as well as other women of color, some as young as 15. Unlike most of tonight's honorees, the Sentinels are recognizing a multi-episode arc covering this storyline. Let's take a look. We are truly honored to present the 2024 Sentinel Award to Dark Winds for this multi-story arc on racism in healthcare.
Yeah. To accept, please welcome co-executive producer Max Hurwitz.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you to the Norman Lear Center. Thank you, Hollywood Health and Society. And thank you to Robert Redford and George R. R. Martin and our partners at AMC, in particular Ben Haig and Dan McDermott, for your unwavering support of our little show. And also my wife, I love you. So I'm truly an imperfect vessel to be up here accepting this award, because Dark Winds and this topic in particular are very much centered around Native Americans and their experiences, and I'm not that. So I'm going to accept this on behalf of the majority of our writers' room and the vast majority of our cast who are Native, because it's only through their open hearts, brilliant minds, and righteous dedication that we were able to show the ugly truth of this chapter in American history as honestly and responsibly as we could. The Indian Health Service sterilized between 35 and 70,000 Native women in the early 1970s alone, often without their knowledge or informed consent. The personal, social, and cultural repercussions of that are unfathomable to me. And I'm grateful for the Native members of our writing staff, cast, and crew for their strength to explore a nightmarish portion of their own families' histories and tell this story in their own words. In particular, I'd like to honor Graham Rowland, who elevated the show from a book series about Navajo culture written by an outsider into a platform for Native writers and performers to tell their authentic stories. I'd like to honor director and executive producer Chris Eyre, our genius star Zahn McClarnon, who deserves an Emmy, by the way, everybody who can vote for that, and especially Deanna Allison, whose beautiful and heartbreaking performance brought this storyline to life. And of course, I'd like to honor our writers, Jason Gavin, Rihanna Yazzie, Stephen Paul Judd, and Desba, along with our fearless showrunner, John Worth, for sharing your stories and yourselves. This belongs to all of you. Thank you.
This box. Earlier tonight, I shared some of the cool things that happened in my life 50 years ago. But 37 years ago, something very significant happened when I checked myself into a chemical dependency unit. I was hoping to use cocaine and Quaaludes like a normal person, and I didn't think that was too much to ask. But what I got was a blueprint for living, and I'm sharing that because I'm grateful. Our next honoree deals with the subject of addiction, specifically alcoholism. Here to tell us more about this topic from NBC's Lopez versus Lopez, please welcome Celine Lay. Oh, sorry, guys. Celine Isleva and Matt Shively. Oh, just kill me. I'm sorry.
It's okay, girl. It happens all the time. Thank you, Lorraine. And congratulations to the Lear Center for launching their new Palante Latino Representation Initiative that will look at how and how often Latinos are seen on TV. As our showrunners have said, representation matters. It's not easy for families of a newly sober person because often they have to tiptoe around the recovering addict. Excessive drinking during the pandemic rose 39% across all demographics. and specifically, Latina women had one of the largest increases in average consumption at 148%.
Nope, I don't say my name.
That's no.
Don't say my name.
Don't
my
say
bad.
your name.
On our let's try it again. On our show, George and his family seek outside help to navigate these issues. But according to a study by Salud America, the Latino population is less likely to seek help for their addiction than their white counterparts. That's me. I'm sorry. We're proud to be a part of a series whose storylines are helping break the stigma and to show characters seeking help. Lopez vs. Lopez is about a family that's broken but not lost. And last season, George's character began a fresh path as a newly sober member of the family. But before long, his character showed signs of irritability and discontent as the pink cloud of new sobriety wore off.
This clip shows a newly sober George, followed by George a short time later when he faces his daughter after suffering a relapse. Let's take a look. We're honored to present the 2024 Sentinel Award to Lopez versus Lopez for 2 episodes, Lopez versus Sobriety and Lopez versus George. To accept, please welcome series co-creator, showrunner Debbie Wolf, and co-executive producer and writer Dan Signer.
I'm delighted to be up here accepting this award on behalf of Lopez versus Lopez. Thank you so much to the Norman Lear Center for this incredible honor, recognizing how television not only entertains, it can be a healing and positive influence in people's lives. I want to say thank you to Universal Television and NBC for always supporting and trusting us to tackle mental health issues and alcoholism in a comedy. I'd like to thank my co-creators and co-recipients of this award, George and Mayan Lopez. Unfortunately, they couldn't be here tonight. But this real-life father and daughter have bravely shared their life story of healing and a strange relationship with us, and it's their truth that resonates so strongly with our audience. I'd like to thank the rest of our talented cast, Selenis, Matt, Al, and Bryce, for giving their authentic selves to their roles, resulting in these very powerful performances that make us both laugh and cry. I'd also like to thank our amazing executive producers, including Katie Newman, who's here tonight, Michael Rotenberg, and my mentor and legend, Bruce Helford. I'd like to thank our line producer, Barbara Stoll, and our talented crew. I'd like to thank Dan Signer here. He co-wrote Lopez vs. George with me. He's a comedy genius and a Canadian gem. Dan and I actually met writing for Norman Lear on One Day at a Time. Being here tonight really does feel like kismet. And we live in gratitude of Norman Lear's legacy, tackling serious issues in a multicam comedy. He taught us how to do it right. And I want to thank my writing staff, whose dedication and hard work is unparalleled. Their vulnerability and willingness to share their real-life experiences is what makes our stories so impactful. I want to give a special shout out to my writer, Di, co-executive producer Marcos Huevanos, and co-executive producer Leslie Wake-Webster, who's here tonight. She bravely shared her sobriety journey with the room, which inspired these episodes and allowed us to tell these stories so authentically. So thank you, Leslie, who's out there. According to the National Institute of Alcoholism, more than 14 million people suffer from alcohol addiction. So although we're a comedy, we took this very, very seriously. I'm grateful that Lopez versus Lopez is opening up conversations about alcoholism in homes across America, especially in Latino homes that don't see Dio Carlos drowning himself in tequila at a 1-year-old's birthday party as a problem. We tend to glorify drinking in our community, but my hope is that Lopez versus Lopez will shift that mindset and encourage a healthier and longer life for our beloved family members who really need to lay off the sauce, So thank you again for this honor, and please watch, our show. It just premiered. I'm gonna do a plug. I don't have any shame, y'all.
I don't got shame. Friday, 8:30 on NBC, next day on Peacock, okay? Thank you so much.
Caregiving is one of the most fundamental and human things we do for our children, our parents and relatives, the infirm, and ourselves. And yet when caregivers are seen on TV, they're often depicted as one-dimensional characters. In real life, caregiving is a huge economic issue. Each year, workers and their families lose more than $25 billion due to the lack of paid family and medical leave. It also puts a heavy burden on the caregivers who barely earn minimum wage. Our next honoree, the Prime Video miniseries Expats, shines a light on the economic inequalities in this world. Set in modern-day Hong Kong, the series starring Nicole Kidman and Brian T. explores the world of wealthy Americans living the high life in Hong Kong and the caregivers they depend on to keep everything from falling apart, until it does. The episode, Central, illuminates the world of Filipino immigrants separated from their own families because their time is spent caring for their employers. In this next clip, Hillary leans on her housekeeper, Puri, for emotional support, even encouraging her to enter a singing contest. But in the morning, Puri's hopes are dashed. Let's take a look. We're honored to present the 2024 Sentinel Award to expats for the episode Central. Series creator, director, and writer Lulu Wong was unable to be here in person, but she sent this message.
Thank you so much, Norman Lear Center, Hollywood Health and Society. I am deeply honored to be receiving the Sentinel Award for the representation of caregiving in expats. I've spent my life watching so many people, particularly women, dedicate their time, energy, sacrifice their own lives for the care of others. Caregiving is often invisible labor. It is often devalued, and yet it is the foundation of our society and economy. Without caregiving, there's so much other work that would not be able to be done. Caregivers, domestic workers in this country and really all over the world tend to be a majority women, women of color, immigrants, undocumented immigrants, and they tend to not receive the employer benefits that they deserve, whether that is paid sick leave or health benefits, healthcare benefits. And it's a system that really, really needs to change, because at some point in our lives, all of us will need to either receive or provide care. And it often comes at the most unexpected moments in our lives. Caregivers, domestic workers need to receive the dignity and respect that they deserve and the benefits that they deserve. We as a country need to invest in care. So if you'd like to know more about domestic workers and how to invest in care, please check out the Domestic Workers Alliance. And again, thank you so much for this honor. I'm very, very grateful. Thank you.
Another great resource about caregiving is Caring Across Generations, a co-funder of HH&S. Now, one thing all of tonight's Sentinel honorees share is the importance of characters having a voice. In honor of expats, we have a special musical treat for you, thanks to the Tining Chorale. They're a student-run Filipinx-American a cappella group from UCLA whose very name means voice in Tagalog. The Norman Lear Center is a part of USC, so hey, just the fact we got Bruin musicians at a Trojan-adjacent event shows that unity is truly possible. They're an amazing blend of Philippine culture and contemporary pop. performing their rendition of Katy Perry's Roar, as heard on X-Plats. This tongue. Please give it up for the amazing Teening Corral.
Bite my tongue and hold my breath, scared to rock the boat and make a mess. So I said quietly, agreed politely. I guess that I forgot I had a choice. I let you push me past the breaking point. I stood for nothing, so I fell for everything. You held me down, but I got up, already brushing off the dust. You hear my voice, you hear that sound, like thunder gonna shake the ground. You held me down, but I got up. Get ready, cause I've had enough. I see it all, I see it now. I got the eye of the tiger, the fire, dancing through the fire. Cause I am a champion, and you're gonna hear me roar. Louder, louder than the lion. Cause I am a champion, and you're gonna hear me roar. Roar, roar. You're gonna hear me roar. Louder, louder than the lion. 'Cause I am a champion, and you're gonna hear me roar. Oy, sandali. Parang may kulang.
Yeah, something is missing. I think everyone should join us.
Yeah. You're gonna hear me roar. You're gonna hear me roar. You're gonna hear me roar. You're gonna hear me roar.
Oh, God, those harmonies, lump in throat. Norman Lear's sitcoms were such game changers. He used laughter to initiate needed conversations. His comedies boldly took on more serious topics than most dramas of the day. Quinta Brunson's Abbott Elementary also chooses laughter to tackle stories relevant to the topic of public education in America's urban schools. Their episode, Smoking, honestly discusses the dangers and diversity of addictions that school kids face, and it does it without blowing smoke. To tell us more, here's the man who plays Abbott's beloved quick-witted janitor, Mr. Johnson. Please welcome William Stanford Davis.
First of all, thank you for loving our show. Kids and smoking, hardly a new subject in sitcoms. Back in 1955, damn, I'm old. It was covered on Father Knows Best. The title alone perfectly depicts the 1950s mindset. Over the decades, other sitcoms showed a beloved kid, always a boy, caught smoking. His concerned parents explain the dangers of this filthy habit, and he sincerely promises never to do it again. That's not Abbott Elementary. In the episode Smoking by Jordan Temple, a smoldering cigarette in the toilet accidentally sets off the school's fire alarm. Rather than saintly teachers shaming a sinful student, the episode took on an honest look at the many addictions students and teachers face in 2024. Smoking, vaping, CBD oil, weed, microdosing, and of course, small bottles of Pinot Grigio. Just to name a few. By showing that everybody faces bad habits and addictions, it removed the hypocrisy that only the students had the problems. Let's take a look. We're honored to present the 2024 Sentinel Honor to Abbott Elementary's episode, Smoking. To accept, please welcome episode writer Jordan Temple and Brittany Nichols.
How y'all doing? Keep it going for America's janitor, huh? Stan is so funny. It's the best. Just want to say off top, thank you to Q Dollars, Quinta Brunson. She really is a visionary and brought back the sitcom. I mean, wow, look at this. Season 4, it's amazing. And also Brittany Nichols, who's here supporting. She's hilarious, as well as the writer's room. This is cool for writers, you know? Yeah, give it up for writers, you know? We be doing stuff. You know, I personally, I didn't think I'd be a TV writer. You know, I was raised by a single mom in a housing project in Queens. You know, my mom was a single mom. My dad was a crack pipe. No. There's no notes on here. All it says is keep going, you're doing great. No, but for real, I went to 5 high schools. I went to 5 high schools, and I got kicked out of one. And in my first high school, it was a boarding school, and I was on partial scholarship, and I actually smoked a cigarette in the bathroom, and I was expelled. I was expelled for smoking a cigarette, and then I bounced around to a bunch of schools after that, and I always thought, you know, with this episode, I feel like I got power over that memory because they actually spoke to the kid, unlike how they spoke to me in this, you know, in real life. And I actually found out recently that that school that expelled me was closed, shuttered. So I win. But you know, I really want to emphasize, you know, the importance of Black stories, you know, the importance of this show, Abbott, in this current climate where so many shows are contracting and the television industry as a whole. You know, it is really, truly beautiful to be able to tell Black stories. I don't know, might surprise some people, but Abbott Elementary is a Black show. Abbott Elementary is a Black show. A Black TV show, Abbott Elementary. Abbott Elementary is a Black TV show, yes. And that's a beautiful thing. Yeah, it's really cool to do an episode like that and be part of that. Unlike Tyler Perry, I'm not gonna take all the credit. I had a lot of help. I had a lot of help from people. I'd like to say, thank also lastly my grandmother who passed some years ago but always encouraged me, was truly a hilarious woman and raised me with a single mom and always told me, Jordan, you're a writer and Jordan, you're funny. And so that's what I'm trying to do. So thank y'all and keep writing.
So delighted to follow that. Now I'm going to talk about death. 2024 is the centenary of Truman Capote's birth. The author of such unforgettable works as Breakfast at Tiffany's and In Cold Blood was notorious for his scandalous celebrity. Truman famously said, "I don't care what anybody says about me as long as it isn't true." But the truth was, his hunger for fame led to actions that broke his heart, and with an intensity that rivaled the pain of death. Death specifically, death with dignity, factors heavily in the episode Beautiful Babe, in the FX on Hulu series Feud, Capote versus the Swans. To tell us more, please welcome the wonderful actor who brilliantly brought to life literary legend, civil rights warrior, and LGBTQ plus pioneer James Baldwin, Chris Chalk.
Thank you, Lorraine. I wanted to make that a conscious. Being trusted to play James Baldwin was a rare privilege. He would strongly approve of the work done by all of tonight's Sentinel honored writers. As the great man said, the world is before you, and you need not take it or leave it as the world is before you, and you need not take it or leave it as it was when you came in. Truman Capote was a complicated man, fueled by crippling self-destruction. His swans were the center of his universe. The ultimate ladies who lunched, they were perceived as the most glamorous, cultured, and envied women of 1970s Manhattan high society. When Truman betrayed their trust, they abandoned him forever. It was the hardest on Babe Paley, wife of the man who ran CBS when it was the most powerful media voice in the world. A diagnosis of inoperable lung cancer makes Babe long for her one true soulmate, Truman. Too proud to forgive him, her dance with imminent death causes Babe to escape to her comfortable comfort zone, planning the perfect party. Her friends are delighted until they realize the purpose of the event she's planning in such carefully manicured detail. But Babe is determined to face death with her own terms, on her own terms, with dignity. Let's take a look. We're honored to present the 2024 Sentinel Award to Feud, Capote versus the Swans for the episode Beautiful Babe. To accept, please welcome a man who is no stranger to award ceremonies. His work has been recognized with such honors as the Humanitas Prize, Drama Desk Award, the Rockefeller Foundation Award, Dramalog Awards, and a Guggenheim Fellowship. Please welcome our series writer and showrunner, John Robin Bates.
My beta blocker did not work. So I'm going to try and do it the way the flight attendant gave the instructions flying out here, which was just in 32 seconds, the entire history of flight. I'm so very grateful to be here receiving this somewhat moving and not so frivolous award in a very glittery business. I'm grateful to Hollywood Health and Society and the Norman Lear Center for noticing an odd show that's about the end of a way of life, a writer squandering everything, or more to the point, about how one lives, leading to how one dies. I do, even though I work in the theater, I love television. I love its potential and its flaws and its opportunities for creating awareness of the world around us and how we conduct ourselves in it. And I love how at its best it interrogates the things that matter in its time. And I love that its patron saints are people like Norman Lear. And I love that it has more and more become a place for playwrights to tell the kinds of stories that used to be saved for little stages off 42nd Street or around the country. Capote and the Swans is a story that doesn't dwell on the glamour of Capote's life, despite that scene of name dropping, but on how he and perhaps society itself squanders so much of what makes the time we have unique. At its heart, it's a meditation on legacy. The end of an era, yes, but also on how the choices we make, the people we hurt or cherish, and the way we face our own decline shapes how we are remembered. Truman's life was an intense mixture of brilliance and self-immolation, and I wanted to explore not only his downfall, but what it says about the culture that both elevated and abandoned him. I hope stories like these tonight help us understand the societal consequences of how we live, reminding us to reflect on our own impact and the inevitable end we all face. It's a reminder to be mindful of the way our actions, both personal and collective, ripple out into the world. But I don't want to spend too much time up here. I'm losing my voice. While I was writing Capote and the Swans, my wonderful singular mother was dying, and it followed a familiar course. I've spent some time around this thing of dying, first with a dear friend, and then with my father, and then finally my mom, and I tried to bring the inevitable ritual of it into the apex of the show, that we all face this, that what came before matters greatly, that how we love and who's there for us matters the most, that it's up to us to try and live kindly and bravely and decently and with care and with gratitude, and I could go on. But probably everyone in this room has held someone's hands in their last days. It all comes to an end, and you have a final experience of this gorgeous, complicated world, hopefully without too much pain, and then something else happens, and we're left in the wake of that. But you still get to talk to the people who are gone. I talked to Sybil Bates about books, the election, the best latke recipes, funny names of makeup, all the time still. She had great names for makeup. She had one called TV Touch, which you could only buy on Fairfax. And it was like sort of a miracle elixir for Jewish ladies of a certain generation. One nice thing about the dead is that it's hard to stay mad at them, I've noticed. And in the case of Truman Capote, the sentences he wrote and the explorations he charted have to some extent mitigated his reactive, toxic, trauma-filled behavior. But I tried to write a warning: care, make terrible mistakes, try and rectify them if you can, and always never take the world and the people in it for granted. I would be terribly remiss not to thank Ryan Murphy for being the handmaiden to this project, and John Landgraf and FX Hulu for being its godfather. Thank you so much.
Our next Sentinel honor goes to an episode of a wonderful series, one of my favorites, Hacks. I'm so delighted this show is getting the recognition it deserves. Even if my daughter was not on this show, I would watch the shit out of it and I would love it. Okay, in a world where 80 million metric tons of plastic is produced annually and 91% of it doesn't get recycled, I'm pleased to know that the executive producers on Hacks have taken the steps to make their set sustainable. From eliminating plastic bottles to cutting down on waste, Jen, Paul, and Lucia are committed to doing whatever they can to lessen their carbon footprint. Good job, Hacks. This season, they did an outstanding job featuring a storyline about the environmental issues. Here to tell us more, the actor who plays Deborah Vance's personal assistant, Damien, from Hacks. Please welcome Mark Indelicato.
That's my best friend's mom. I'm really, really grateful to be here tonight, by the way. And just being with Carol and Carolyn is just always a thrill. But working on Hacks for these last 3 seasons has been so much fun. And by fun, I think that that was what was written on the teleprompter. It's so much more than that. But we'll get into that later. In addition to being a professional highlight, it's also been personally rewarding. I'm so excited to work on a series that grapples with big conversations like topics about queerness, misogyny, ageism, and the environment, all on the backdrop of comedy. Age versus youth is an ongoing theme on our show. Deborah is always sharing her 70-something-year-old opinions with Ava, and in response, Ava often points out the absurdity of Deborah's ways. In the episode titled One Day, Deborah and Ava attempt to break their writer's block by going for a walk on a hike in the woods. As they walk, the conversation turns to the environment, and different generations don't necessarily view comedy or climate change with the same lens, and that is the metaphor that fuels their relationship. Pun slightly intended. In this... I'm sorry, that was funny. But in the clip you're about to see, you're going to see Deborah and Ava. They're lost, they're exhausted, they're stranded. They realize that no one knows at the studio where they are. So let's take a look. Two of the most beautiful women on television. We are so honored to present the 2024 Sentinel Award to Hacks for the episode of One Day. To accept, please welcome writer Carolyn Lipka and writer co-executive producer Carol Leifer. My friends, the divas.
We'd like to thank the Norman Lear Center for this honor, Jen Statsky, Paul Downs, Lucia Agnello for their fearless leadership and vision, the incredible crew for their tireless work, Jean Smart and Hannah Einbinder for being the most beautiful women on television and their transcendent performances, and Universal Television and Max for giving our show a home, and the NRDC for fact-checking every single fact about the environment in this episode.
I just wanted to say, you know, we all need to do our part for the environment. Like, for me as a comedy writer, I recycle my old jokes every day in the writer's room at Hacks. I do. But, you know, the environment here in LA, I mean, it's really messed up when you think about it, isn't it? I mean, you know, the smog, the wildfires, the mudslides. I actually heard the Menendez brothers today asked not to be released. Yeah, they said it's much better inside, in prison. What else? We have an oil crisis on our hands. Diddy? I mean, 1,000 bottles of Johnson & Johnson. I mean, that's an oil slick at those freak-offs. Come on. Yeah, I love how his attorney was like, no, you know, he buys in bulk, he goes to Costco. Diddy is not at Costco. You know, water pollution, that is bad too here in LA. I went to Santa Monica the other day. Oh my God, have you looked in the ocean? There's more plastic in it than all the Real Housewives combined.
I like that one, Carol.
Thank you. Thanks, Mark. But you know, global warming is a big problem. I mean, it's October and it's 100 degrees out. You know, I mean, this Halloween, women are dressing slutty just to feel cool. Just purely for the weather. But anyway, I just wanted to say a little something serious. You know, in our episode, you know, Jean Smart says, well, what can one person do? Well, I think we each can do one thing. Like, for me, myself, I take a walk every day for 3 miles, and I collect trash. It's not court-ordered or anything. I'm not wearing an orange jumpsuit. But in you know, it's amazing. In an hour and 15-minute walk, I collect a bag of trash like this big. And this is in Brentwood. Okay? So, you know, and it makes me feel good, and I hope all of you tonight will just think of one little way that you can help. Okay, so we have a message from our fearless leaders, and here it is.
Bye, hi. Congratulations, guys.
This is really conservation. We share one statuette.
Yeah.
It's been more than 2 years since the U.S. Supreme Court struck down Roe v. Wade. And in that short period of time, reproductive health care for women in the United States has become dire. 41 of the 50 U.S. states now enforce some form of abortion ban. And in many states, performing an abortion is now a felony, with fines up to $100,000 and jail time, including up to a life sentence. Even though the subject of abortion rights is top of mind this election, the media coverage on the women this currently affects is a low priority. Sometimes it takes a popular dramatic series about a fictional news show to amplify these issues. The critically acclaimed series, The Morning Show, did just that this season by weaving real facts about reproductive rights into their storylines. Here to tell us more, the CEO and founder of Media Res Studio and one of the executive producers of The Morning Show, please welcome an award-winning producer, Michael Ellenberg.
Thank you, Lorraine. The Morning Show, every season, the Morning Show Writers' Room begins by taking a look at what's happening in the culture and trying to anticipate the conversation we'll all be having a year and a half later. The Writers' Room, by design, is a bit of a zeitgeist weather vane. So in this case, in this season, the instincts of Charlotte Stout, our daring and brilliant showrunner, were unfortunately all too prescient. When the room began, Dobbs hadn't happened yet, but Charlotte could feel where the winds were blowing and insisted the show tackle the subject head on. What's amazing is, on a night where Norman Lear's spirit is hovering over us, it was radical to tackle abortion on television in Maude in 1972, which was a very famous episode that he wrote, and it felt equally dangerous and radical to do so now. Our show, while a work of entertainment, has always been an examination of the specific perils powerful women face and the unique limitations on their power, with, of course, the ultimate limitation being the lack of control of one's own body and healthcare decisions. In a dark time for women's reproductive rights, The Morning Show, by design, offers a raucous and thrilling vision of women trying to steer the world towards a more just place, even if our characters, Charlotte, make a lot of mistakes along the way, many mistakes. It's a show grounded in reality that traffics in fantasy in order to show us the world we're in, as well as the world we'd like to be in, and hopefully offers us some inspiration to help us get there. Charlotte is the fearless, courageous writer and producer at the helm of this massive ship. She writes with ferocity, with wit, with intellect, with joy, with soul, and with an ounce of the unhinged. Which is true. That's a compliment, Charlotte. This season tackled many hot-button issues. For Charlotte, the reckless thing is avoiding the biggest questions of the day. She fears cowardice, and has contempt for the ordinary. She makes us all take risks and keeps our game as ambitious in season 3, and we're shooting season 4 right now, but we're still here, we didn't send a video in, as it was. As it was when we began. I'm proud to be her collaborator and her friend. I speak for my partners, Jennifer Aniston, Kristen Hahn, and everyone at Echo, as well as Reese Witherspoon, Lauren Newstetter, everyone at Hello Sunshine, Mimi Leader, our producing director and EP, who's incredible, in congratulating Charlotte on this well-deserved honor, and I also thank our friends at Apple. And now here's a clip from episode 301 of The Morning Show.
Mr. Ellenberg, you weren't done. I'm Michael Ellenberg. We're honored to present the 2024 Sentinel Award to the morning show for the episode The Carman Line. To accept, please welcome showrunner Charlotte Stout.
Thank you, Michael, for your lovely thoughts. I am particularly unhinged tonight because I'm trying to write the finale of season 4. So every writer in here knows exactly how that feels. And also, I'm dying to ask Lorraine Newman about what it was like when David Bowie was on SNL. Anyway, thank you, Hollywood Health and Society, for this honor. It really, truly means so much to me. When the season 3 writer's room started, we knew Rose would fall, and we wanted to speak somehow to that seismic loss in some way. In some small way, the episode tried to acknowledge the maze of misinformation and fear surrounding women's efforts in Texas to have some agency over their bodies. Crisis pregnancy centers, these fake clinics, and the intimidation of reproductive health doctors is very, very real. Sadly, the numbers are going the wrong way. In the United States right now, there are 2,600 of these crisis pregnancy centers. They're often sitting right alongside real abortion clinics, so people get pulled into the wrong building, and often their clothes are, they get exams and no one gives their clothes back. It's really pretty crazy. So I found it an incredible education. We talked to many activists and medical personnel who shared their stories with us. These are their lives every day. We talked to someone who she varies her route to work every day because she gets death threats, but she still keeps doing it. And I think we're in such a time where we're very scared about a lot of things, but I think I was so inspired by these women. They're just tough as fuck, and they just don't give up. They keep going, and to me, that was an incredible inspiration. Thank you so much.
Hey, Hollywood Reporter.
Thank you so much to the Hollywood Reporter.
Let's get this conversation out in the open.
Tonight's final honor, the Culture of Health Award, goes to a phenomenal series which has garnered more than 10 Sentinel Awards in the past, not to mention a Golden Globe, a Humanitas Prize, a WGA, TCA, and PGA Award, and 13 People's Choice Awards, Grey's Anatomy. Here to tell us more, an award-winning actor who's played the wise and wonderful Chief Medical Officer, Dr. Richard Weber, for more than 21 seasons. Please welcome James Pickens, Jr.
Good evening, and what a great night, man. This is more comedy than I've seen in a while up here. There's a second show, too. Don't forget to pay your servers, okay? Yeah, what an incredible evening. I am so happy and proud to be celebrating a wonderful series that I've had the honor of being a part of for over 20 years. Yeah. It's the longest I've had a job doing anything. In the 2 decades Grey's Anatomy has been on the air, our hospital has survived a bomb, an earthquake, a shooting, and a flood. And not to brag, but among the other things, we have diagnosed over 140 tumors, okay? And even that's a lot of TV tumors. The stories we tell come from the genius minds of our incredible writers and producers, including our phenomenal show creator, the incredible Miss Shonda Rhimes. And you know, one of the best parts of being on this Grey's Anatomy family is that we get to hear how a storyline, a scene, or diagnosis on our show inspires real-life awareness of medical issues. We don't have enough time for me to list all of the lives that we've affected over the years, but a few highlights that come to mind include an Israeli woman who, a mother of 3, who sought a second opinion for a lump in her breast after she saw Grey's Anatomy, an episode where a young mother underwent a mastectomy when her cancer was initially mistaken for a clogged milk duct. After receiving a fatal diagnosis for her baby that she was carrying, a Grey's superfan flew 7,000 miles from Iran to my hometown, Cleveland, Ohio, to Cleveland Clinic, to receive a cutting-edge fetal heart surgery because she remembered seeing it be performed on our show. It's pretty amazing, yeah. Now, a few years ago, we heard about 2 10-year-olds in Wisconsin who saved their mom by performing CPR after they learned it from watching Grey's. Yeah, it's pretty amazing, right? Over the last 21 seasons, we've covered issues like Black maternal health, mental health, aging, Alzheimer's, rape, domestic violence, cancer, and cancer survivors, clinical trials, reproductive rights, and abortion. Recent lear.center research on Grey's abortion storyline showed that everyone from our viewers to our healthcare providers in this country had passionate opinions, including frustration and calls to action. Now, the power of storytelling just doesn't reflect the current state of things. It inspires change. We are honored, I am honored, to present the 2024 Cultural Health Awards Sentinel to Grey's Anatomy. And to accept this honor, we welcome our showrunner, the amazing Meg Moranis.
Okay. Thank you so much to everyone at Hollywood Health and Society for this amazing honor. And to Mr. Norman Lear, thank you for inspiring us with your stories and helping to champion such beautiful work. Thank you so much to our partners at ABC and Disney Television, Shonda Rhimes and Shondaland, and our incredible cast, crew, and our writers. It is such a privilege to do what we do. For a TV show to be able to do it for 21 seasons is an astonishing feat. But what's even more extraordinary to me is that we're a medical TV show that's been on for so long. We've told stories about doctors, sicknesses, injuries, and public health for 434 episodes, and in about 30 minutes, 435. And due to the size of our audience, the impact of these stories is huge. When I think about culture of health and what it means for our show, I think about all the doctors, patients, advocates, and loved ones who have shared their stories with us. When people watch our show, they smile, they gasp, they laugh, they cry. I think everyone in this world knows what it's like to worry about their health or their loved one's health. And so when they watch our show, they see themselves and they find a way to be able to process. It allows them to mourn, it allows them to celebrate, to be seen, and to feel. And it allows them to do it in a space where they're not alone. Over the past 20 years, we've educated, we've broken down stereotypes, and we've comforted, and we've done it accurately and responsibly, which would be impossible without our partners at HHS. Before I was staffed at Grey's, I was the medical researcher for about 4 seasons, and I worked very closely with HHS. At one point, I think I spoke to Armene and Kate more than my own parents. So I truly know how important and helpful this organization is to the success of this show. They've answered our phone calls and emails and listened to our wild pitches for 2 decades. These have included, could you help us find a doctor who saved babies who are the size of a Coke can? Do you have an expert who has reattached arms? What about treating someone encased in cement? Every single time HHS delivered, and we had such insightful conversations with the most brilliant people who helped craft an exciting story arc for this show. So with pride and gratitude, I accept this beautiful award on behalf of the show and dedicate it to HHS and all of the experts and physicians who have taken time to play such an important role in the ongoing legacy of this show. Thank you.
I went home. I'm so sorry. Wait, well, okay, there's more? No, okay. They called me, said, get your ass back here and end the show. So as long as I'm back, I will see you in the lobby. There's a party out there. And hey, congratulations to all our honorees. Thanks to our presenters and performers. And let's keep trying to improve the world. Here's one great way: vote. Good night.